My name is Siobhan Ryan. I am the Library Media Specialist at the Connors Emerson School in Bar Harbor.
I'm Lisa Murray. I am a public librarian at the Southwest Harbor Public Library, and I am also a part-time school librarian at the Pemmitic School, also in Southwest Harbor.
I'm Clara Baker, and I'm the director at the Bass Harbor Memorial Library.
And I'm Devon Pappas. I am the Library Media Specialist at Mount Desert Island High School in Bar Harbor.
And we're ILEAD, MDI ILEAD.
Why did you want to do this project for ILEAD-U?
I wanted to do this project. I was really excited at the opportunity of working on a project with librarians on MDI, on Desert Island, because it's been a long 9 years that I've been at Connors Emerson. I was looking to freshen up a little bit, and frankly, after seeing 2 full-time positions cut in the last 9 years, it gets a little lonely, and you're kind of hoping that someone values your work. And I was hoping to work with these ladies to get some of those new points.
I was excited to do this project for similar reasons. I'm a public librarian, and 3 years ago they cut the full-time library position at the Pemmitic School Library, and our library contracted to help run the library. I have no school library training, and I have been winging it for a while, and I am only 7 hours a week over there, and having the opportunity to network and bounce ideas off of all of these women has been something I've been trying to do for a while. So it's a chance to, I'm hoping to make school librarians a little more relevant and maybe not cut them as much as they have been.
The initial idea, though, of facilitating access to research was something that caught my attention, and I was interested in trying to solve that problem.
I'll be really honest and say I really didn't want to do it. I really didn't, and it wasn't because of anything because I wanted all of these things, but it was a lot, and I have 4 kids, full-time job. It was a huge thing, and it was all happening really quickly, and the initial idea for what we ended up doing as a project was not our own, and I was a little hesitant because of the way our school system works and the libraries on the island, and I really wanted to make sure that everybody who should be involved was involved, and because of the speed and because of having to get in our application and because of timing of things that of course we don't have control over, it was a little bit of a concern for me. That being said, I very much like Siobhan and Lisa and Clara were saying, wanted to be working with my fellow librarians and wanted to do whatever I could to try and make the system work in a way that would be positive for the kids, some of whom are my own, on the island, to try and serve them to the best ability that we could. So that was why I ended up saying yes, that I would do it, and that's how that happened.
What did you want this project to achieve, and did you succeed?
I guess for myself, there were 2 things I wanted to come out of this project. One was this repositioning the school librarian as a relevant professional position in the school system, but also to address this issue of the lack of research skills that these kids were coming into high school with, and just expose them more to knowledge and resources. Myself, I feel like being part of this group has been unbelievably helpful for me. I've learned a lot by working with school librarians. Since I'm a public librarian myself, I have really, this has really helped me out a lot in my personal job. So yes, I do. And the relationships that we have built have been amazing. And I never would have had this level of contact with these women if it wasn't for ILEAD. I really wouldn't. So yes, on those levels, I do believe we have succeeded.
I think that what we set out to achieve is different from,
Yeah.
I mean, it sort of changed. Like, we set out to have some sort of resource that initially was going to be both beneficial to students at the school and also people in the communities. And through our work here at ILEAD, we came to realize that there's a pretty big barrier there with public libraries being open systems and school libraries being closed systems, and how do those things function together. And so we really had a lot of work to do to try and figure out how we could change our project to make it so that it was a doable thing that would be used. And we also felt like that needed to happen in the schools because of how we ended up having this project to begin with. So I think that whether what we set out to achieve is not what we achieved.
Right.
What we achieved is a lot of knowledge about how something like our project needs to work, as opposed to whether or not it actually did work for us at this point. And so we came out of it with a lot of knowledge about what needs to happen, and really saw a lot of deficits that we easily recognized and kept running up against, these barriers that we needed to address. And so in that sense, even though our project is not at a point where we could say it is successful, I think that we achieved a lot, and in that sense, that was a success.
What were your biggest successes and challenges?
I think one of our biggest successes is that we're here, because we were ready to throw in the towel after the March session. We were having trouble agreeing on how we were going to move our project forward. We went through a number of ideas. We came to, I wouldn't even say consensus. We came to agreements. We decided to move forward. We're here because we were able to at least respect each other as professionals and try to make something work. But in the end, we still have things that we need to go. And as Devon said, we're talking about open systems and closed systems. And as Lisa said, we're talking about putting professional librarians back into schools. And we've been able to begin to make that message clear where we go.
I think one of our some of our challenges included having a project idea and a grant request that was originated from outside of our group. The person who wrote the grant proposal is actually the boss of 2 out of 4 of us, an administrator above, and so that was a real tension, because she also had a clear vision for what she wanted to happen. So that it took a lot of our energy in negotiating that piece, both with the administrator and within the group, because the 2 of us who didn't have to answer to this woman really didn't want to, wanted to follow our own interests, instincts, and I think we all wanted to, but some of us were more compromised, and understandably. So that was a big piece. I think also that we didn't assign, I'm just really remembering now being in this room, but we didn't clearly assign a leader to the group roles, and I think that broke down a bit in the facilitation that happened at the first session. I'm not sure the person who led us through that process was as good as he might have been. I'm not sure we had enough time to work it through, and for whatever reason, we didn't, I think again, we had different points of view on how important that was. I felt that it was important, and that's why I'm bringing it up. You know, so that was another issue. We also, you know, this project was about growing leaders, and actually we are 4 leaders, and I think we've all had an opportunity to develop that sense of ourselves in this project. But of course, 4 leaders can be problematic.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to lead this group. I know exactly what I wanted to do at one point. You know, we didn't do what I wanted to do. So, you know, that was a challenge. That was a challenge. We might have needed to grow followers. We might have been a more successful group if we had been learning how to be followers, honestly. But it was interesting.
I think that a success that we had through this was really the time that we were able to spend together, and we all came out of this realizing how utterly important it is for us to be able to spend time together to talk about the things that we have to plan and the things that we need to do in our individual schools, so that we can take from each other what we need and then bring that back to our individual communities, whether it's the school or the public libraries. And I think ultimately that was the biggest success that we could ever have gotten out of this, is really to understand how critical that is to our jobs.
Yeah.
And just to follow up to Clara, I do think that the original grant came out of a meeting that we had at your library.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's sort of because there was a deadline for ILEAD.
Yes.
And I was, you know, eager to have, I'm psyched, I'd say, to have someone say, I actually want to give my librarians professional development. And
Yes.
that actually grew out of that meeting. But I think that what was problematic was that it was rushed and pushed
We were
through.
short on time.
Well,
Yeah.
this goes
Yeah.
into our next question, which is?
With the benefit of hindsight, what would you change about your original concept?
How I would personally answer this is that for the past, I don't even know how many years, Devon has been reaching out to the community of schools and librarians saying these kids are coming in to the high school level completely, they're just flailing when it comes to high school level research. And with the benefit of hindsight, this being participants in ILEAD, personally, I felt like if it grew organically out of this from us, as opposed to from a school administrator who said, hey, here's an opportunity to do something else, I think if we wrote the grant, if we put our language in, it would, I can't even imagine how that would have gone. I mean, we probably would have come up with against a lot of the similar roadblocks, but I feel like we wouldn't have had as much of a rocky start as we did in the beginning. That's just my
I think that in hindsight, I would have wanted to change our project to not be a tool so much as a way that we could establish the need for our profession in our school district, and what is it that we actually need, because we don't need another website, you know, we don't need another thing. What we need are professional people who can help students understand how they need to use the tools that are already available to them.
Yeah.
And I think that if we had had the time to meet ahead of time and that this was an organic thing, I think that we all would have agreed that that was the case. And then it would have just been a matter of like what is it that we can do, you know, to try and create something like that. So for me, that's how I would change it.
But, you know, in truth, we spent at least half of our time discussing the problems in our school district and the ways in which we were compromised in our jobs and we weren't getting the support, and that there doesn't seem to be a clear vision for libraries. In AOS 91, you know, what we know and have observed is that the positions are being cut, and techs are filling the gaps, and that they're not using the librarians who do have full-time positions necessarily to the extent that they could. And so, you know, in a sense, we now share a common vision and understanding about that
Yeah.
by bringing together our perspectives, which were pretty consistent. And so all but the grievances that we need to nail to the door of the church, we've achieved that. Yeah.
Do you think your project can be used by any library anywhere?
We hope not. Let me qualify that answer though. What's going on in our school district is not indicative that the island is in worse shape than any other school district in the United States. The fact is that school librarians are an endangered species right now, and there's a lot of misplaced energy with school districts, and it's happened for lots of different reasons. None of the people that are working in the school districts are evil and have bad intent and black capes and stuff like that. It's not it's not about that, but I don't want our project to have to go to other schools and other districts, because what I would hope is the knowledge that we've gained could transfer, and that other people would not have to go through trying to find some makeshift tool to be a substitute for what we know is the best practice, which is to have certified library media specialists in schools.
And the truth is, who is going to advocate? We're looking to the left, nobody's advocating for school librarians. We're looking to the right. Oh, we actually have the knowledge and know what we should be advocating for, and we're the ones who maybe need to make the case. That was an interesting piece of information.
Do you want other libraries to replicate this project, build on it, redo it from scratch?
No, I think that if other school districts see the work that we've done through ILEAD and see this video where we talk about these kinds of things, then hopefully they won't suffer in the way that we have suffered. And I use that term loosely. Obviously, it's not like Anyway, I think that if we can spread the word about the need for librarians in a larger way than just affecting the students that we see on a regular basis, then that would be amazing. It's a groundswell kind of thing, I think, and the more voices that we can put to that, the better our chances are for keeping our kids educated in the best way possible.
So where will you go from here with your project?
I think
I took one step, shall I say? Yeah. Last week I resigned from my position as they'd had a full-time librarian, and I, for 1 year, provided library services for 6 hours a week at an ed tech sort of scale. And this year it appeared that they wanted to continue that arrangement. And I said that it was insufficient for maintaining the library, and that I wasn't going to volunteer the time, and that it needed at least another 6 hours to process and inventory books, and they couldn't do that. So that's what I did.
And I'm in a similar situation to Clara in that I'm a part-time public librarian I work with 2 other part-time librarians at the school library. And we need to just keep advocating for full-time librarians. We need to advocate for professional teaching librarians, because I can't do that. That 7 hours a week, I'm not trained, and I don't have access to the kids. We have a kind of a silly joke around, like, the best thing to come out of this is if I get fired and they hire a full-time librarian to replace me. Not fired, but replaced by a full-time librarian. I would love that. I would be thrilled, instead of the 3 of us sort of, and we do a great job. I'm not complaining. We really do. We're doing well with what we can, but it's one of the challenges I've really had is listening to everything that Siobhan is doing. Siobhan and Devon are the only two full-time librarians on the island now.
In the schools.
In the school system, in the AOS 91. So I will continue to advocate for full-time librarians, even if it means I'm out of a job, because that, that would be a success for me.
Yeah.
I'm also offering more to my students. I've learned a lot through ILEAD. I've never had the opportunity to really sit down and work with Siobhan ever, or Devon, and I've learned so much about various technology that you guys use, the whole fines process, all of that, and I will continue to take what I've learned and try to bring that to my students and work with the middle school teachers at my school to advocate for that as best as I can. But I'm also not a teaching librarian, so how far can I go with that?
Well, yeah, sorry, I already spoken about one of the specific things. So I have been reporting back to both my board at the public library and then and to the principal as this has been happening. And one of the things we've learned is that they're making decisions about if they're cutting services that they keep kindergarten through 4th grade, when the work we've done has really been focusing on the importance of research skills in 4th through 8th grade. So it calls into question those decisions that are being made when they are cutting the positions. But also, in advocating for the school, to my board, they've been going to the town and speaking to the school board, and my small town is getting the message about our position on the importance of a librarian at the Tremont School.
I think that one thing that we will do, just sort of logistically after this, is we're having our final community representative meeting next month, right?
Yeah,
and
2 weeks.
So we are at that point planning on talking to them about all of the things that we've done and our realizations about things. And most of the people that are on that team for us are teachers, and they are on the front lines of what we are trying to impact. And if we can impress upon them how important this knowledge is, then we've done a lot of work, because then we won't be the only ones who are advocating for ourselves. They will be advocating for us as well, and that makes a huge difference, because we're fighting on both sides. We fight to try and get into the classrooms with the teachers who are so overloaded and so stressed out and have a lot of experience and knowledge, and in some cases feel like they can do it on their own, and they don't want one added thing by having another person in their classroom, all of which are valid reasons to not want to deal with somebody else. And then on the other side, we have administration, where they may be supportive, but they also don't know how to advocate with teachers or to really facilitate that partnership happening. And so having a war on two fronts is a really difficult thing. So the more people that we have on one side that are saying, hey, this is a need that we actually have, and in order for me to do my job, I need Siobhan and Lisa and Clara and Devon to do their jobs with me, that's really what we hope is going to happen. And so we'll be doing that kind of work to try and keep those lines of communication open for the teachers, so that we don't have to do that two-fronted war of trying to get into classrooms.
Excellent, thank you.